Now we're going back to square one, making fire.
Mention arts versus sport. For the longest of times, our federation, the Dance Sport Federation, we call ourselves a sport. We say it's a sport, but there's been this huge debate around whether dance is a sport or if it is art. Whose hill were you dying on in the Queen, Gracious or Harriet? Whose hill were you dying on? There are two big families.
Yes. Okay. I like fantasy.
Okay.
Very much. And that's why that whole anime thing works for me too. But I like the storytelling in anime and the music. Oh, the music.
Anelisa, how's it?
So, it's good to be here.
How are you?
I'm good, King. I'm good. It's the year of change, they say.
Year of change.
Have I changed? Oh, I thought you said you have changed.
I'm saying year of change.
Yeah, it's the year of change. It's very interesting one. It's very 2024 in its energy, but I think that's the thing that will change. That'll be the defining difference, I think. We're going to measure this year through the mishaps of last year, I think.
Yeah.
Feels that way.
We always do that. We always make reference to what has happened in the past, and then we try to improve in the present, right? So we've just finished January. Can you believe it? It feels like yesterday when we were reaching over to 2025. And now, how many days? We are 35 days into the year, I think.
30, you counted that way?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. January is 31 days, and then these few days we've lived in February. But anyway, before we even start, I want to know who Anelisa is. Somebody interesting left a question for you, but I'm not going to ask it until you tell us who Anelisa is.
All right. How do I start this? Anelisa is a son of two beautiful parents. I am a brother to my siblings. I'm a father to my daughter, and I am a professional, an actor to the community, and an artist, I guess, overall, if we were to tie it all to spirit, from the building blocks upwards. That's pretty much what Anelisa is.
Okay. I'm going to come back to each one of those because I think they're all very interesting. So I'm going to go to the question so that we put this on the side. Somebody who is very much interested in you, not in that way, wants to know more about, I'd say you also, because she's asking if your inner child saw you right now, what would they be most proud of and most disappointed in?
What would they be most proud of?
Yes.
That they're still there. My inner child is still here. I think that's where I get my sense of play. Yeah. Because I've been playing in the same realm from that age. So, I mean, like I say, I started with this drama thing from around 4. And by then it was, maybe we should put this kid into this thing. So it precedes that. Yeah. So I've been playing throughout my life, and my parents and my communities have always supported me in a way where I've always been able to play into my profession, into the world. It breaks down into creative and strategic thinking at its core. But there's a sense of play, the unknown, and there's a thrill there. So that we still interact and that we still play. I think that is probably our proudest moment, if I speak in unison. And probably the most disappointed in, I'm going to keep this one maybe professional. I would say that just the way that the industry has turned out, for the amount of time and effort that we've put in, we would have hoped for a different result. But again, that's more industry than our own thing. And I would say probably on the most disappointing side, I would say personally, well, you'll catch that in season 2, won't you?
Is this now you assuring me that I'm going to be sitting with you again, having an extended conversation?
Absolutely.
Oh,
There's so much more to come.
I love that. But I see we've got a friend here who keeps circulating around us.
Oh no, he's here for me. It's the angel of death. I'm like, oh.
Listen, Anelisa, a lot of people are not very much in touch with their inner selves, especially as we mature, we lose that sense of touch. But you're mentioning that your inner child still lives in you. How have you kept that alive?
I don't know that it has anything to do with me necessarily. I think the environment that I've always been in has always allowed a sense of play, and you see it in the. We have to change this word community. I was about to say, you see it in the communities that we hang in, and I guess it's that.
What would be the alternative?
I'm trying to think. Groups, associations, friends. You hang with. When you look at these social interactions that we have with our friends, we're a good-humored bunch. So there's a linguistic play.
Yeah.
You know, we witty, or I'm wonderful with dad jokes. I love that stuff, you know, and there's a sense of play for me there, you know, oh, that's witty or this and that. And it extends, you know, others will sing and play instruments, or they'll paint, or there's always everything that we do is connected to the main thing, and it's always feeling based, and that feeling, joy, happiness, play, they live together. And I mean, the world that we live in can be so dark that you need to move away from something to go to a softer place. So maybe it's a therapeutic component to our industry, or maybe to me. I do advocate for therapy and speaking your issues out and writing them out, or speaking them, or finding the necessary help. The community, again, I think I'm big on that, because we isolate a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then when we isolate, then the last thing you do is play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you I guess you play back all of the dark things that are afflicting you at the time, and you will see it in bits and pieces. You know, the world is a lot smaller these days, so you'll see things on social media, or you'll read about something over here, you'll see a post or whatever. And I think we just, it's an important part of our storytelling. I mean, the show itself is called a play. It's a screenplay and the rest of that. So it's important.
Yeah. I was about to ask if you don't think if it has to do with the industry you're in particular, because if you take somebody from banking, they don't have the same spirit that you have. They've lost touch with their inner child. If you go to a lot of artists, regardless of what they do, you do see that they've got the thing. They are still very much in touch with the 5-year-old they once were. You know, that's my observation. And I wonder if it doesn't have to do with the space that you are in as an artist.
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for others. I can only speak for myself. And I like to think of art in a circular kind of format. If you think of a pie or a clock or whatever,
yeah,
and every hour represents something different. So for me, the way I see it is that I'm an artist first. So I represent the clock.
Yeah.
And what's popular right now is this slice of 1 o'clock that is called this acting machine that popularizes me and celebritizes me and turns me into a more one-dimensional craftsman than something as a part of a whole. Because it's exposure. You don't get to see the rest of these things. You can hear that, okay, cool, I speak well. So I have a knack for language, and language plays into what I do, etc., etc. So my own process is my own process, but there's a resilience that comes with being playful, because you can't just be playful. You have to take stock of what's happening, deal with it. You have to allow the grown-up to be the grown-up. And a lot of the things that the grown-up needs to deal with hurt the child. So a lot of the times in banking, say, as a crude example, the machine is so technical and so specific that it doesn't have time for play in that space. It's numbers generated and it needs to produce results. You cannot dilly-dally. They bill per hour. It's a different machine. It requires a different psychology. Me, day one, I'm filled with nerves because from those nerves, I'm going to grow into the spirit of this thing. I can't come here with, why are you confident? You can be confident, prepared, and the rest of that, but you need to be in the spirit of play, improvisation. You need to know those rules and how to, and releasing and getting your body ready. There's a lot. It's going to the army. That's why they train you so hard at the army, because you're going to go to war. And in that war, you represent this ideal for that function, to tell that story, to soothe that person, because this is our purpose. Other people are going to get in because they're looking for a different result. So we'll lose each other in the matrix, as it were. But for me, I had to rediscover that my inner child is the source of a lot of my creativity, but I have to be responsible with how I take care of myself, right? So I have to be vulnerable and resilient at the same time. And I guess maybe that's what this is about as well, in a sense. It speaks a certain kind of picture. You know, you think about Batman or Superman and all those things. Superman's thing, his symbol, the bullet will shrink on it. That's symbolic. It says something. And here I'm saying something. I'm like, you'll figure it out or we can work it out together, but it stands for something. It's not a happy picture. This is not something that's going to be like la-di-da. We've got the faces of drama, the happy, the sad. This is a stark difference. It still speaks the same message, but this has a technical idea to it. Sharp angles. We need specificity, precision, so that when you encounter this thing in the dark, if you are of the dark, you must start. Yeah. Right? It's like Batman and Bane kind of thing. And it's storytelling because it's ideological, but we're storytellers and we must build. So,
are you an anime person?
I do enjoy anime.
I can tell. You talk about this pie. This is a conversation you and I have had behind the scenes. You talk about this pie and you speak about this exposure you've gotten as an actor. But I want to know, what other things do you do that many of us don't know of, apart from acting?
Apart from acting, can we play a game?
I'm not sure about a game. I'm scared of games. I don't like losing.
No.
I'm joking.
It'll be a yes and a no game. You name the art, I'll say yes or no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you play any instrument?
Yes.
Guitar?
Play guitar, bass, piano, percussion.
Okay.
And I sing.
And you sing?
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
You sing? Read.
Yeah.
I see the writing. Are you serious?
Yeah, I used to sing for the Northern Natal Youth Choir. I sang for the Durban Boys Choir. I sang for the UCT Choir, UCT Choir of Africa. I did musical theatre.
So you sing classical music, opera music?
No. I'm a tenor. So I was a classical tenor. I started as a soprano. Then I went to first tenor. Then I went to second tenor. Then I became a baritone. But I still have access to that range.
Yeah. So
my study is classical, in that I can read the music and I can sing it and play it and all that stuff. But if I had to approach a jazz standard or contemporary music, I have the interface to deal with it, to understand the differences between the various instruments. That piano is voiced differently to a guitar. It's a different numbering system. Piano is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are all the white notes that spell out the C major key.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other 5, the black keys over there, which are your pentatonic, right? So that 5 and that 7 together give you the 12 tones that create the Western style of music. Yeah, those 12 tones separated by semitones. Okay, that's music theory. To say that if we are talking music, how do we approach it? Because understand, the circle is to facilitate story. Art is to heal that person over there using this frequency, separating this stroke from that stroke to this stroke to that stroke. So today for you, we're going to paint either something realistic to mirror the world, to make a comment on the world, or something abstract to express something of the world to the world using a non-linear way of approach. So that's what we call phenomenology. That's a theory. It's
in social sciences, very popular.
There you go, but it's applicable, right? So there's so much. What else would be there? So there was an argument around sport when the whole Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, they're like, what's sport got to do with it? I'm like, sport for me is exactly that. Sport has a musicality.
Yeah.
Right? It is art embodied. Because you look at dance, right? Dance, the classical forms and all of that, they require breath. Breath requires inner negotiation. So does running. So does you kick up all the movement, all of that, the choreography. It's alive. So the energy is just limited to this form, and this form is soccer. You change it around and you move the ball this way around. Now it's tennis. You put it on a board and you put other balls over there. It's planetary science, but it's snooker, it's pool. You hit the ball to this side over here, you slice it, it goes over there. Understand, the way that we look at the world is interpretive so that we can tell stories around it. I can tell a story about you, I can tell a story about him, I can tell a story about everybody else that's there, right? If I know how to observe the story and then know the physical parameters that can allow this process to take place, right? So it's all the same thing, and one leads to the other. In fact, if anything, the circle teaches us craft. Anything can be crafted. That's where repetition comes from, that whole thing. You do it over and over again. That's how speech is formed. Because I argue that language doesn't exist. And that's a great fallacy. So let's qualify it. If I say language doesn't exist, I mean that language is not native to any human being. Wherever you are born, you will sink into that societal structure. And that societal structure bites into air with our mandibular structures, right? Separating this from that. Sawubona bhuti unjani? Ndiphilile kwami ninjani? Those are two different languages, but they use the same mechanisms.
Yeah.
And to communicate something from within. Want some food? Because this is universal.
Yeah.
And this is universal. You just don't know the pattern, the gang code here that brings us together. But if you stay for long enough, there's no human concept that is beyond any human mind. If you thought about it and you show me, if it makes logical sense and you can repeat it, I can learn it. Now we're talking motivation or your teaching skill or my reception, but the rest of it. And I'm not talking about broad cases. I'm talking about generally. Let's say I'm not a scientist or a doctor. I'm not making claims I don't know. I can only speak of what I have done.
Yeah.
And I exist in all of these realms at the highest level for me. I would argue that maybe I've had more practice in the one realm, so maybe that's not a true statement. But I would have wanted to say that everything that I do at the same level, right? Or at least I try to, because the processor is the same. It's the same machine. You can't say to me, oh, I'm fighting now. Martial art, right? I'm fighting now. And you're left-handed. I'm going to trip you up. So I'm going to switch and be southpaw with you so that we're open to the same guns. But I'm ambidextrous. And that's a learned condition as well. You must be able to reach with your front hand or with your left hand and that. Block with this hand, block with that. But again, it's dance. It's science. It's inertia. It's all of its energy. When you disembody yourself, which you must in our world, you disembody yourself, what is left? Spirit. That's why I call you fire.
Yeah.
Fire is spirit, right? So our processes are different. We have to maintain our play. We must take care of ourselves. And so it goes. I can't remember what your question was.
Well, anyway, I want to know now. You mentioned something that is very close to my heart. You speak about music and dance. I had asked what it is that we don't know about you, because you spoke about art.
Yes.
And you particularly mentioned dance. I'm a ballroom dancer, by the way, trained ballroom dancer. And I dance to music. The bars we use, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, mainly. And and then you mention arts versus sport. For the longest of times, our federation, the Dance Sport Federation, we call ourselves a sport. We say it's a sport, but there's been this huge debate around whether dance is a sport or if it is art. As such, we haven't made it to the Olympics, but for some reason, by some miracle, we won. I'm not sure whether there was a case logged or what, but we were able to make it. And I think the next Olympics, you will see dance sport. You will see ballroom dancers there.
That's very good, because when you look at things like gymnastics, it's a very thin line, because I mean, you look at ribbon and all of that. It's very performative, and you play it with music as well. Karate also, when I was still involved, I retired from karate in 2012. I moved town. So I couldn't compete. I was part of the Western Province team. I was part of the SA team, fought in the 2009 World Championships. So that was good. And then I left, and I guess I could have found another dojo here. But I know my sensei would have found me. Phewa, I hear you training with sensei.
Is that how you speak? Why does it sound so programmed?
No, he's hectic. Woo. Let's not talk about him.
Manag. Yeah, maybe let's just pull back a bit.
Sure.
I want to know more about your upbringing. It seems like there's a lot of things that you used to do, which we have skipped. You were in martial arts. It falls under martial arts, right? So tell me about you, Nje Usakula. I don't even know where you grew up from. You said Sanbonani Ninjani, and then you quickly said Ndipilile Njanina. So I'm not sure whether you're Zulu or Xhosa even, because you speak both these languages so eloquently. Tell me about yourself. Can I seriously know the person sitting next to me?
Okay. So I am what we call a hybrid. I am Zulu Xhosa. My dad is Zulu. My mom is Xhosa.
Yeah.
My mom is from the Eastern Cape. She comes from Uitenhage, just outside Gqeberha.
Yes.
Yeah. And then my dad is from E30, which is where I grew up. So through and through, the first language I spoke was Zulu.
Okay.
You know, the first play that I ever did was Zulu. I grew up E30. Look at me looking at my life and trying to decide which parts I bring in.
It's a mini.
So let's take it to the back. I was born in Verulam.
Okay.
We stayed at Tongat. Then we moved there were political uprisings there. So we went and stayed with the Gogo Kwae Mlaz.
Okay.
Then I thought we bought the house, but they were renting a house, quite PP. New developments over there, so we went and stayed.
It still looks
there.
Beautiful even today.
Yeah, on the hill there.
Yeah.
So we stayed.
I know
there.
the library. I've been to the library.
I was still young. I didn't. So from there, and also I'm referencing the schools that I went to. But yeah, there was always an artistic inclination for me. So from Gopipi, we went to Goar. From Goar, we went to Glenmore, and from Glenmore, then I went into high school. Right. So that was the whole thing. But I was very much a Durban boy. Ange Squaka.
Ines Kwak.
Squaka.
What is that?
Just, like I had a kind of violence. So my parents were just like, just calm down. Go paint or something. There's a fearlessness or a brash boyhood bravado that I had, and I would see it with other boys, they didn't really take me for much. It was like, light skin, pretty, he's a weird little boy, so they'd come at me and I wasn't afraid. And I'd always fancied the Bruce Lee idea and all of that. My dad's a martial artist. So all of these things come together, but first put me in Kung Fu and I did that. But with Kung Fu, they sent me to ballet upstairs because I needed to understand line and form, right? Because there we are. So I did that. I was 8, did my stretches with the ballet, then I did the Kung Fu, continued with that. Then I went to a school called St. Gregory College in Escourt, or just outside Escourt, a place called the Mches.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess it would have worked out in the same way anyway, because anyway, too many stories. So I get there, and one of my best friends now, Siabang Otoyo, he's a martial artist as well, and he's studying this style, and I've got this Kung Fu, so we spar, and long story short, we form a karate club. That's why I'm introduced to Goju. It's a Goju Kai that we did. He did Goju-Ryu, but the karate that we did at school was in Goju Kai. Through it, I learned about Shihan Stanley Koza, and I met his brother, his sons, who are now the Koza brothers, SK Abdul.
Oh.
So we first saw each other at that tournament that was set up over there. We didn't fight each other because I'm older than them and they were in a different division, but we did the same thing. So to see each other again in the industry, we'll do a karate movie watch. Yeah. But then I took on that style. I changed schools, couldn't continue with the karate lapo, went into tennis and all of the other things. When I got to Cape Town to study, then I rediscovered the headquarters, actually the Hambu Dojo in Cape Town in Mowbray. And there I trained with Shihan Frank Brandon. His father is the international vice president of the style and the All Africa head, Hanshi Peter Brandon. Okay, so those are the people. I've said people's names now. But yeah, so that's where I trained. I trained there because also it was down the road from my varsity. I stayed in Leo Market Hall for the first 2 years. So I just used to just run up the road and train over there. And it took a liking to me. I already had a little bit of a martial spirit. I like to fight. So he could condition that and then really refined what it was. And he turned a champion out of me. And I appreciated that.
And at what stage did this stop? Because it seems like you carried it throughout your varsity years.
It hasn't stopped. It's just changed.
How has it changed?
Well, now, for example, I don't have the community, right? But so I'm a black belt by speech, in that I cannot prove to you right now that I have a black belt. From a physical black belt to the certificate, they were never presented to me. I passed. I don't have them. But I've got the knowledge. And it doesn't take a belt to make a black belt. It's actually how much restraint you have and how much pain you can take, how strong you are. And that's that whole resilience thing. So we used to do this beach training. And you get through beach training, not through grit or force or whatever, you get through it through breathing. Because otherwise you'll freeze or you'll hyperventilate or whatever the thing is, right? So it's a very hard mental training that gets you to a place where you can forget yourself and be bigger than yourself in that moment. And that's always the thing. You are afflicted with something here. Now you've got all of these weapons that you can use, but you are able to call upon restraint, right? So it was good for me, but I think I got what I needed from there. And I was able to leave with a question which says, sure, I know the syllabus. So that I'll show you the syllabus, do the syllabus, all of that stuff. We can break it down. I'm a first dan, so I'm a baby black belt as well, right? And the idea for me is that now that I've been taken out of the source, does the concept live? Did they make me a martial artist or did they unlock the martial way? Because understand, the martial way wasn't established there either. So I got there with the martial idea in the first place. And that came from other things, like go here, do this, don't fight, don't do this, control yourself, this, boom. So I've been shaped and molded to a person who has restraint. But I still know how to call it up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in a movie I played, not a movie, I did a show on Netflix, Soon Comes Night. In a place like that, I can show you how dangerous I am, or at least how dangerous I think I am, right? It's that fearless, I don't care, and I enjoy it. So it's that idea of playing with the fire, you know what I mean? Because it's safe over here. I'm not going to come cut your head off, but I don't have to act. I can reveal that. Do you know what I mean? In the same way that if I relate with something, I don't have to act it out. I can respond to it, you know, from it. That's what this is. I call it emotional frequential exchange, right? It's conversation. It's moving each other through craft or speech or whatever the thing is, you know. So what I did then was I said, if you are a true martial artist, prove it to me. Prove it to me. Because you can't lie to me, right? Because also there's that spirit that says, because you don't have an outlet anymore. So I want to do stuff, but I can't do stuff because I'm also this guy. It's so boring to be this guy. Oh, you know, there are so many things I can't do, so many things I can't say, or, you know, and that's fine. That's a lesson in itself about restraint and control and perseverance and the rest of it.
What does that mean?
I happen to look like a famous actor.
Okay.
That bores me because then I lose an anonymity. I like to walk the streets. I like to do my thing. And then, because for me, I walk around as the circle, right? I'm the artist. I'm looking at the trees and the birds and I'm being affected by all the things. Hi. I'm like, whoa, what's up with you? Oh, you look like the actor. Yes. Hello. How are you? Yes. Lovely. Picture. Then I go about and do my own thing again. You know what I mean? I don't live as an actor. I'm a survivalist and the concepts that I've collected have to be useful to me. And I collected very interesting intel. I fought people all over the world. I did well. I fight well. I'm good at it. Prove it to me. Can you take this concept and shift it? Use the Jordan Uke, the Chudan Uke, the Keran Barai, the Kalk Uke. You know what I mean? Can you use all of the Mawashi Uke? Woof, boom. Can you use all of these things in a different way? Still within the art of martial, but this is karate, empty hand, right? Therefore, if this is in my hand, it is now a weapon because I have become, this is my upgrade. So goes the thinking. But I chose a specific form of control. I said, if I work with double nunchucks, like Michelangelo, that was the inspiration from the Ninja Turtles. Because my thing is, what? How? Right? But there's musicality there. So I said, how would I reverse engineered it. I said, if somebody were to, how would I make a karate person block like that? Well, if I took this thing and I swung it like that, that's a natural reaction from that into, I wouldn't block like that, but I'm just saying, there's your first strike. You know, sorry, pardon me. We're looking for X, right? We're solving for X. This plus that, or this plus X equals that. So then you just flip it and you invert it. Now you're doing it the other way around, right? X minus this equals that. Oh, okay, sure. So then the equation is actually between the variables that are known.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then that's a useful little mathematic. Who said we wouldn't use maths in life? But there it is, right? And I say, okay, cool. Prove it to me. So then I know this block, I know that block, I know this block, which means there's a strike over there. And for this strike, because it's a broken stick, there's a circle here. And my leg is in the way. So then there's a plane. My plane of safety is about here. If my awareness is on my knee, otherwise I'm going to clip it. Full circle. But that speaks to rotation. You've got a full rotation and you've got a half rotation. So you've got a circle within a circle. You take it, you invert it this way. You've got the same. The same as you do over here, right? Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, ba, 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 ba. Ooh, breath, musicality. Ha, ha, ha. There you go. You check what I'm saying? Now I need to play a character who has that kind of flow. I know that style of breathing. I want to breathe deep and hold my frame. Not blink out. Because I am flowing on the inside. Then you might see it in the movement of things. Now, a lot of my characters have that fluidity, and sometimes that's a thing I need to make sure against. But this particular character in LLB is quite meticulous, so I get to dance with him. He's a ship on the ocean, and he just sails when he walks. That's the feeling. And then he docks. Those are things that have been investigated, crafted, and I said, how do I use all of my facilities to bring the story about, to represent this man so that I can heal that person? If mine is healing for this moment, because it might not be, it might just be entertainment, which is a form of healing in itself.
Yeah. It's still there on martial arts. There's this huge debate that when you play karate, for instance, or when you do karate, you don't play it. When you do karate, you are likely to be a disciplined person. It teaches you discipline. So we grew up, in my area, we would be told by elders that if you want to discipline your boy, take him to a martial arts class. Do you find that to be true? I refused personally because I found it to be very rough and I don't like violence. So I associated it with violence. So I opted for ballroom dancing. Would you say it's true that it teaches you discipline compared to other sports and other forms of art?
All arts requires discipline.
Soccer too?
Yes, absolutely. Everything. I play soccer. So we can talk about it again in terms of what our end goal is. But let's come back to karate quickly. We'll come back to soccer. I beg your pardon. In karate, I'm not sure whether this is a real word now. It's a hierarchical system. You know what I'm saying?
Hierarchical system.
That's where we're going, right? Hierarchical system. That's where we're going. There's a seating arrangement, and I hope I'm allowed. This is common knowledge, I think. I hope. Forgive me. I don't mean to breach. But there's ranking. So your head instructor is within our dojo, for example, Hanshi is the head of the dojo, but he's got world business. So Shihan Frank will then run that dojo with his other Shihans and senseis and all of that stuff. Because he'll have admin to do, but the class needs to work because the machine runs. Every student who's being taught is being taught to be a practitioner of the thing, but also to be a teacher of the thing. Each one teach one. There's a responsibility that comes with teaching. Can't just mess around. Even when you're in class, you're a teacher, because then I'm going to say, come show me your form. Sanshindachi. What does that mean? How do you understand it? Show us your idea around it. Now, for me, I gave them an interesting idea. I said, because it was based, it's a weird looking form like that.
Yeah.
And I used to ask myself, why? They say, if you kick for the groin, the knees quickly block and all of that. And then you've got these quick kicks, the kingeris that come from there. Kansetsuge, they can come from there too, right? What are we talking about? I just went so deep.
It happens. I was asking if it seriously teaches you discipline. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And my idea around that was that if you draw a C with the one foot and another C, you fall into it. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. And that was an example of being called out to explain something because I've been paying attention, and that requires a certain kind of discipline. And also, we have ways in a place where we teach you how to fight, how to teach you stuff. You're going to get hit. And not hit, but you know what I mean? Like, you're learning how to block, and it's fight science. What's the most important about it is, I'm not going to fight you, man. Look at how you're standing. I'm not going to fight you, man. Look how you're breathing. And then people are going to take that idea on, and then I'm going to show you why it's not a good idea to fight me. Because one, I'm a weapon already. I will be treated harsher because I know what I'm doing. I know the points. I know the strikes. Right? But there's no point. The trauma that's associated with that is not worth the spectacle.
Yeah.
Right? So then you use it in different ways. I use it a lot in my acting. I'm supremely confident because I can fight. But I know what it feels like to be afraid. Because I know what it means to be a fighter, I can let it go. The worst case scenario for me is if I know what it feels like to not be confident, to not be a fighter. I can reference it. I can imagine it. if I were to lose all of this, what would I be? How would I walk? How would I reflect? I can walk into any room. You saw how I walked in here today. It's like, are you not afraid of dogs? I'm like, why? What am I afraid of dogs for? There's an idea that I'm pushing here because I know what I'm capable of. So if I were to lose that, I can imagine it. Goodness. It changes my frame, my form, and all of these things. You know what I mean? So it's conceptual. It's in my head.
Well, I'm interested in something that I think everybody would love to hear you talk about. Acting.
Sure.
How did you end up in acting when you're doing so many things? Was it by choice?
Yeah.
Or circumstances led you there?
It was by choice. I chose when I was 10. By then, I'd had 6 years of experience, so I could make an informed decision. At least I could share it with my parents. And it was a no-brainer for them as well. So then, collaboratively, they shaped me. Collaboratively, we shaped the path to becoming a knowledgeable student of acting. So then I started going to schools that, when I was 10, I guess I was already in it. So when I went into high school, then we were looking for schools that had drama, music, art, the art variant, or variants. So acting was just always there. And because I chose it, I focused on it. So I was in every school play. I did drama in high school. We wrote exams, drama society, and we did school plays and did all that stuff. Our drama teachers told us what universities to apply to. It was all very cocooned. Once the decision was made, it's just that it's not disconnected to everything else. Tennis has the musicality of flow and all of that stuff, and it has its own language, forehand, backhand. I mean, the shapes in between. You know what I mean? Like, it has its own internal mathematic. So there's no separation. It's like saying, I don't know, what's it like saying? Which is your favorite hand? I think.
Well, I was still going to ask you that question.
Which is your favorite hand?
I was still going to ask you, which of these would you say is your absolute favorite? But maybe let's skip that. You've done quite a number of shows locally. I'm not sure if you've done any internationally, but I very well know you've done quite a lot here. Can you mention at least 5 for me? Starting with LLB.
Okay, that's one. What? Ooh, and some I'm not allowed to mention yet.
Sievetulan.
Whoa, okay. He's doing it for me. Come, you do it. From LLB, okay. There's one that's currently in post-production. So we won't mention that because we don't know its dynamic. We don't know it'll play, if it'll sell or whatever, but we shot it and it's looking beautiful.
Okay.
I played a support in that. In fact, I realized the other day, I have only ever played supporting roles in my career. I play them like a lead. I approach every character like a lead, because I think that's just human nature. Everybody's got their own story to tell. But I've never held a story as the ultimate lead and led it forward with other supports. I'm a wonderful support actor. Right. And that's why we do that whole self-tape thing at Dramatec as well, because if I'm trying to get the best out of you, I'm going to give you the best out of me, and then that's what you're responding to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You see, now I'm going back to which I think is my favorite. I like music because music is related to martial art. Martial arts is related to swimming in water, and water is breath. And then it all just comes out. Now, when you're in water, when you're not in water, like dance sport, I enjoy because that's where you learn how to fly, right? And it's very useful to be able to fly as a martial artist and the rest of it. But yeah, anyway, so it was LLB. It's on Showmax. You've got Soon Comes Night, which is on Netflix. What came before that? I think it's currently airing now. Makoti, which is playing on SABC 1. I'm going by the years now. Before Makoti, maybe Itemba, and before E30 was Harvest, and somewhere along the line was Generations. Somewhere 2020-ish was The Queen. There's another movie that shall not be named.
Wait, I don't remember you in The Queen.
No, it was a troubling time when I was on The Queen. It was in that COVID period, and a lot of things were happening, and I needed to show camaraderie. And I was approached to be a part of a production at short notice, and that's what we did. Yeah. I considered myself one of the Queen's knights. I stepped in and I played that part. I played a character called Johnny. Okay. He was a liar. He was the most blatant liar I ever came across. I was just like, these guys are setting me up. But I had to find his truth. And I guess that's the thing. I had to find his truth through all of his lies. I had to find his why. I think I'm still looking for his why and the characters over there. He just lied more than what was reasonable. But I had to buy into that.
Whose heel were you dying on in The Queen? Gracious or Harriet? Whose heel were you dying on? No. They're two big families.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'll tell you. No, I was a part of Hector's house.
Okay.
Yeah. So Hector. So that would be Harriet's house, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that would then maybe be Harriet's kind of camp, because they were about to have a thing.
Yeah.
Energetically, now that whole thing is happening somewhere else. It's funny. I love it. I love them. And we had a good time. They took care of me at a time when I needed the work as well.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very good interaction. So, yeah,
it's so beautiful to hear somebody talking like this. Oftentimes when you speak to people in your industry, actors in particular, they would be giving negative comments about I would say their employers. In this case, that was a Ferguson's Films production. And you are sitting here and you're saying you love them, you were enjoying being with them. And I think that's amazing. And I think they are seriously amazing people. And I'm sorry to bring this in. I saw what's happening with Brenda Ngoli currently. And I saw that they made this huge donation, which I think just proves how good they are as people. Jay, they see themselves as people and they treat other people like people. I think that was amazing. But I don't want to dwell on that. Which has been your hardest character? What role did you find the most challenging of all the ones that you've played?
The challenges are different. Vincent was a character who challenged my life on Soon Comes Night. Some things I'll leave alone, but I could have gotten seriously hurt as Vincent twice on the same day, 2 scenes apart. In fact, it was the same scene. We were doing stunts. So Vincent really, really challenged me, and he left me with scars. Not scars, but so that he, because he's a martial artist, you understand? And so he and I could find each other there. He was a reflection on my part of the urban ninja. So I could really get to live, and I made decisions. I mean, I didn't want to run over a puddle. It had been raining on this set that we were shooting on, and there's this beautiful car there, right? And I'm running and I'm being chased by the cops. And so I do a little thing. I do a Reiki. I'll go look at where we're shooting. What does the gravel look like? Can I run here? Yeah. Do these clothes feel right? Practice runs. This puddle's bothering me, man. One of the guys says, leave it to me. I'm like, okay, cool. Action, sharp, ne? I'm going to run. And I throw the gun across. I'm not even looking at it. I catch it and I clear the car and I jump over it, right? Camera's right here in front of me. Over that thing, land, spin out, boom. But there's a function to say I spin out to catch myself momentum going that way that I look back to, or they're not there yet. And I'm moving. So it's not just being fancy. I'm going to clear this thing, turn, boom. Oh, okay, cool. Bang. Got to run again. So that when I get the next opportunity to do that, I'm like, kid, run out the way. Bah, bah, bah. And I hit that cop. So a lot of stunt driving, a lot of physical things that if I were not a martial artist, they would have had a different form of expression. Yeah. But it also needed my grace as a dancer, because on one of the stunts, I don't know why they kept that take. It's in the series. I fell off the truck. I saved the shot, right? Because I didn't panic. I knew exactly what to do. But I'm supposed to, we hit the truck, it falls over. I run, jump onto it, do the whole petrol thing, bend down, put on my mask, and then I put my arm down, and I'm supposed to then just butterfly down, boom, grab my guns, do this thing. What happens is, mask, I butterfly down onto the wheel. So my momentum goes like this, and I go that way. So I just tense the one leg, and I turn this one in, spin down, do a floor roll, grab the guns, boom. Choreography. I thought in take 2 and 3, I did it better because I didn't do it off the wheel. It was cleaner, but maybe it looked a little too much like dance. The one maybe legs out like that. And, because it wasn't a dance show. He's just jumping down, but he's natural.
Yeah.
Whereas James on LLB, he's a man who's so confident. He challenges my confidence. And it's not a Vincent confidence. I'm going to shoot or whatever. You know what I mean? It's an intellectual superiority complex that is justified and earned. You know what I mean? So he plays with subtlety and all these things. So I'm nervous that people might see a different, you know what I mean? Like I'm nervous of all of these things. And then there's the technical jargon that I have to speak, a word that plagued me on the day, restitutionary interdict. By the time I got there, it tripped me up once or twice. And then I had to come back to it and just understand. And for the time frame, we didn't have a lot of time. And to play something so perfectly articulated on the page, and then to look at the time, they say, build a mansion in 3 weeks. I'm like, it's a beautiful design, but there's only so much I can do. They're like, do it anyway. So we did.
Yeah. I think it's a hard industry. I don't know how you do it, especially if you have to play different roles within a short space of time. How do you balance that? I know at some point you had to play a role where you had to speak Afrikaans. I'm not sure how fluent you are in Afrikaans. Kan jy praat?
Baie goed so.
Huh?
Baie goed.
Okay, kan jy kla nie, ek probeer Afrikaans leer.
No, I just sound like I speak it well. Because again, according to that same thing we were talking about language, it's just these sounds, and these sounds have meaning. So if you know the sound and the meaning and you marry the two, and that's where now the repetition, the rehearsal comes in. I always use a sentence. I'll say something like, "Ekskuus mevrou, kan u asseblief vir my berei waar die poskantoor is?" Now, a lot of my friends used to say I sound like I'm speaking Dutch because I'm trying to get the flow and the fluidity into it. Wat is die poskantoor? Okay, cool. It's the post office. Waar is it? Kan u asseblief vir my berei waar dit is? You check. So I'm not practiced, but the language structure exists because I'm just running the words. I'm like, ooh, this one, that one. Ooh, this one, that one. Ooh, that's not right. Ooh, it has double negative. It's a little language game that acting allowed us to access through forms like text analysis.
Yeah.
What are you saying? What do these words tell you about this person? It's the words that characterize the energy that we recognize as the person. Ooh, it sounds like you. Why? Because you used words in a certain frame that reflect your own background, the way you learned, where you're from, the words you use, the cadences that fall, the inflections, the rise. You know what I mean? You want to go out with me? Yeah. Huh? It tells you something about where that particular sentence structure and musicality comes from. It might give you a lot more than that, and I'm being facetious about it. But it's a type and it's a stereotype. But it's written on the page that if I read it differently, it might not speak that same characteristic, that blonde, beach girl that I was going for. It might speak to something else, but the words remain the same. So the character is the same, but we can interpret it differently and characterize on top of that. We don't create the character. The character is given to us.
Yeah.
Because if it's a poem where you don't have a character bio or a history or whatever, no given circumstances to say you are so and so and you come from here, you just have these words, right? And you have to say, in so many quiet ways, you remind me how gentle are those who know God, and how very beautiful too. That's a poem by Shabir Banabai, South African poet. It's called Foraksana. He's talking to his daughter. I can't take on the persona of the poet because the poet is invisible. I take on the character that's on the page. And that character on the page has a relationship with somebody. And they're talking to them and they're addressing them and they say, in so many quiet ways, you remind me how gentle are those who know God. That tells me something about this person. They speak English. They speak with a lyricism. They are touched with an idea that there is something beyond this life. And I remember that through you. He says, I've often looked at flowers and felt within my heart a yearning for their serene beauty, their pure gentleness, right? This is someone who's familiar with nature, who appreciates sunlight. If I'm too busy in my life, I'm in New York, whatever, I don't have time to smell the flowers. This poem challenges me through this character to think about the flowers, because if I just speak the words, I've often looked at flowers and felt within my heart a yearning for their own. What are you saying? What are you saying without the words? What are you saying? Because it's a feeling, because words don't exist. Ni hao is hello in a certain language. Sawubona is hello in another language, but they both mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you a poet?
Not ordained. I, because of the clock, studied it, understand it, have contributed to it, but I wouldn't separate myself from the wheel. If you called upon me to say, we need a poem of this kind of structure, I can do that for you. I can write it, I can translate it, I can do that stuff because of the academic support that I have. I'm familiar with the technical structures. You're looking for a haiku, you're looking for a sonnet, you're looking for a narrative, you're looking for an epic. What are you looking for? How long, how short, what's the structure, right? And then we can play into that. And because we can play into that, we can then craft with that. An example, it's a song, but the words speak true. It's spoonerism, understanding grammatical form, right? It's supposed to be undying love. But I wrote, as I was writing it, unlying dove. And I liked that. I was like, whoa, what does that mean? Love is true. If love is true, it does not lie. It is unlying. And if it is pure, it is as pure as the purity of a dove. I kept it. The words are, somewhere in love were you and me. We were in love, somewhere you and me. I felt, thought, saw, I wondered where you were. We were in love, somewhere you and me. Still you walked through the passage of time in my heart. In love were we. We were in love. As it unfolds, right? The story goes, the story has a subject, the music gives it a different boat to swim on. Boats swim on boats. What? There's many of us here, you'll forgive. I shouldn't do too many of these interviews.
Wow.
They get to see the eccentricities. But it's fine, we're not all put together and normal. There's a lot of color. So I feel for me, I've taken so much time to be technical, to defend the not so technical, to defend the art. Yeah. Because otherwise we're just la-di-da and shua and energy and I'm vibing. I'm just like, yo, ooh, yeah, it is all that. We're connected to spirit, you know what I mean? Plants are living, but you have to be able to speak about it the way a doctor would the heart. Right? What is character? As an example, as a drama technician, this is my proposal. I say character is represented by the words on the page. We just saw them. We were able to decipher the meaning from this character. Where is he from? What does he feel? All of these things. Where does he come from? Who is this person? And that which is not there, I can color in and decide what to do with it. I could be holding a little baby here, speaking this thing over here. I could be at a gravesite, the end of my life. Or at least at the end of my life as I know it. My spouse is gone, my kids are grown, all of this stuff, and I sit there. And I got my cap in my hat, in my hand, and I've got my coat. I'm wearing my suit type thing. And I look at the sky and I remember. And in that remembrance, now it turns into a prayer in so many quiet ways. You remind me how gentle are those who know God. It's a completely different thing because I'm talking to the spirit of my dead wife. And that I have to find all of this emotion and then bring it up into words, involve my psychology in it to deal with it because this is loss. And I'm trying to release this loss with beauty, right? If I didn't know anything about text analysis, character analysis, I wouldn't be able to contribute to this. I would just speak these words. And you can just speak these words. It starts there, but it requires a lot more than just shua. It needs technical proficiency. You need to be able to get in and out. A lot of us, oh, I'm stuck in character. I'm like, just relax, man. Did you even get in? Like, it's not that hard, guys. At the end of the day, we have to pretend to separate from the harsh realities of the life so we can get into the space where we can play, interact with it, to find the truth of that within that realm of play. But then we get out, and you get out by just shifting focus. You're not going to do something that hurts you, that reminds you of a trauma over there. Don't go do that. It's not going to heal you. Go to therapy. Otherwise, you're just pretending to be somebody so that you can do something for somebody else. It's pretend. And if you get in deeper, let's talk about it. Drama therapy is a thing. But for the rest of us, learn the lines, don't bump into the furniture, speak when it's your turn, and react to the rest. And then it's going to read the way it's supposed to. It's like, guys, we are magicians, okay? We are card, sleight of hand tricksters. It's our job to make it look like magic. I have cards here and pulley systems and tricks so that when I'm not in it, I'm not feeling it, I'm not vibing with it, I still have the technical background to keep the show going. The show must go on.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, the show must go on. Right? And then we've got these safety things, these measures to say, right, this is how we do this stuff. You know? And that's why community is important, because we come together to say, we take care of each other, take care of the form, take care of the craft, hand the craft over. It's not mine, it's not yours. We who have learned must be able to hand it over. Right? It's not free.
Interesting. So you write a lot, you said.
No.
You said you write.
I said I can.
You can write.
Yes.
Okay. So I know you do write, but if you're a person who is into writing, that means you read a lot.
I do.
What do you read? What moves you?
I like fantasy.
Okay.
Very much. And that's why that whole anime thing works for me too. But I like the storytelling in anime and the music. Oh, the music. I guess the storytelling type and all of that. But I enjoy fantasy because you get to create the world yourself, or at least you get to contribute with your own imagination. It's beautiful. I like that kind of thing. It challenges your imagination because you have to imagine a whole world, a whole system, a whole martial art, a sense of storytelling and all of that. Yeah. So I read more than I write. I do express myself a lot, but also I'm in the period now where I'm trying to give audience to some of the other things. My music is ripe. It's ripe. And I made a promise to myself 21 years ago when I started playing that after 21 years, you have to put something out into the world. This is that year. Right? And I'm not coming out as an actor playing. No. I'm saying this music has been with me for this long and I must now dish it out.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is Dramatec, your baby. Tell me more about that, please.
How much time have I got? Dramatec. Here's the difficulty. We are South Africa's premier acting consultancy. To say that we're not a school, we're not offering you pieces of paper to say now that you've been here, you can do this thing. We're saying to you that if you have any questions related to our industry, we have a per hour slot and you can come consult. Whether you are interested in writing or acting or character or storytelling. All I'm saying is I'm not the only one. We have drama technicians who are specialists in these various departments, and we are a place where actors can come and sharpen their craft, learn about other techniques, form that community, play, but geared towards creating our own material. That's, I think for me, that's the greatest thing. Instead of just sharpening yourselves and waiting, I'm saying sharpen ourselves and then let's go see if these things work. We don't have to shoot full features, but what we're making you better. We're taking you from good to great. How do you prove that? So we've got a concept this year called Dramatec Cinema. It's the idea that we work on something and we shoot it and then we expose it. And you come into Dramatec and you don't want to be seen. You must be seen. Because the idea is that when you rock up wearing this, you're like, I know that. That's of Anelisa. Speak true. Show me. Put a light on you. It should shine, as it does over here, right? Reflect your art. So let's go. So that's that place to say that I want a group experience, or I want an individual experience, one-on-one, online. I want to shoot a self-tape, as it goes. You know, we also have water.
Listen, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to pause there. This is not a full stop that we're putting. We are still going to meet and we are still going to have a broader conversation. I want to hear more about Dramatec, but I am informed that we've run out of time.
Cool.
Anelisa, thank you very much. I think this has been a great conversation.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the juice.
Now we're going back to square one, making fire.